5 ways that most of us might be just drinking water incorrectly. Okay, so is there a right way to drink water? Because all we know about drinking water is that you just take water, you drink it, and that's about it. So, how can we go wrong with something that is so simple? And we all literally are drinking water to stay healthy or to hydrate ourselves. So, what could really go wrong? But what if I told you that the way you're actually drinking water is draining your energy, it's slowing your metabolism, and it is messing your gut just like your ex? How is that even possible? Because water is something that gives you life. So, how can it drain you of your energy? Or how can water even slow down your metabolism? Well, that is precisely what this video is going to surprise you about. So, this video is not about you having 8 glasses of water a day. This is a video that's going to tell you all the things that you've been lied to, maybe through Instagram hacks, through social media, or through simple things like convenience. So, let's fix how you drink something as simple as water starting now. Number one is that you're chugging water like it's a Pepsi ad. Okay, so let's say that you've just come back from a run, or you've just come back from working out in the gym, or maybe you've just come from playing a beautiful game of football. And then you come back, you open the fridge, you take this cold water that's therein, and then you pour it in a glass, and then you consume it, and we all know how refreshing that feels. But what you did right there is give your digestion a nice slap on its face. Here's why. When you drink cold water, it enters your system and it shuts down that digestive fire literally. So in Ayurveda, there is something called as Agni, which is your metabolic flame. When you consume something like a cold water, it just shuts down that digestive Agni that's there. And even science backs this, because when you have cold water, firstly, it restricts those blood vessels. Second, it also slows down that stomach contractions that are there, and it also reduces the body's ability to absorb nutrients. So yes, that cold water might feel very refreshing, but on the other hand, it just screws up the entire digestive system on the inside. Instead, what you can do is, just in case the weather is warm outside, you can have water at room temperature, but if the weather is cold outside, you can just have a little warm water. That will literally be amazing for your system, because you have to understand one thing, that you don't want to throw cold water on a hot stove, that you really want to cook food in it. And I know it's very tempting to have cold water, especially in a hot climate, but trust me, just sip more smartly. Number two is drinking water in between meals like it's a part of it. Let me guess that most of you still do it. You're right now eating maybe your rajma chawal or your lunch or anything in that lunch, and then suddenly you feel a bit thirsty, and then you're just gulping water like it's also a part of that main course. And to give you a simple example, let's say I have a broken toy and I'm trying to fix it together. And to fix it together, I'll need super glue to put it in between. But now, if I put super glue and I mix a little water with it, do you think that that toy or that broken toy will get attached together? It won't. Because to attach that broken toy together, it requires that concentrated super glue without any dilution. Your stomach acid is very concentrated, and it's there to break down those foods and so that your gut can absorb those nutrients. But when you put water in it, what happens is that stomach acid becomes a little more diluted. And when it's diluted, it cannot break down those food particles or the food that you've eaten much more easily. So that same acid that's trying to break your food down is now diluted. And if there is less acid, that means a lot of undigested food, that means bloating and gas is on the roll. And eventually it creates a very sticky toxin which Ayurveda talks about, and it is called this. So every time you have water while you're consuming a meal, well, pretty much think of it in this term. One thing you can do is wait for 30 to 45 minutes after your meal to consume water. Also, another thing that you can do is 30 to 45 minutes before your meal, you can just mix a little bit of apple cider vinegar in your water and just consume it, so that during your meal you're not really wanting to have any water. But just in case, let's say that during your meal you feel like having water, then just take a few sips. Don't really consume a lot or gulp down a lot of water, because you know what's going to happen. Let's say that your digestion is really weak, so whether you are consuming water before your meal or after your meal or anytime during the day, make sure that you're having warm water always. And also try to understand that your stomach is not a washing machine, so stop flooding it with water mid cycle. Number three, and I'm sure at some point everyone has done this, and that is standing and drinking water. Now, every time you stand and drink water, you're sending a shockwave down your system every time you do it. The water runs down and it splashes against the digestive system and also through your gut, leading to a lot of poor absorption. Ayurveda also says that it disturbs your vata, which is the energy of movement, and it also leads to arthritis, kidney damage, and also some nerve issues over time. And even modern science shows that when you stand and you consume water, it reduces your hydration efficiency, and it can even hurt your kidneys by promoting faster urination and also poor filtration. So no matter whether you have played a sport or you're really thirsty, or no matter what the condition is, just make sure that you sit down, you sip water, and that's about it. And you have to look at it a little more deeper. You have to understand that your body is 70% just water. Water is also quite sacred even for this whole planet. Without water, we really can't do much of things. So don't treat it like a drive-through item. And also, it just doesn't take a lot of time to just find a place to just sit, sip on water, and relax a bit. And I know in this fast-paced world, we don't really think about wanting to sit and consume water, but trust me, in the long run, it really helps your body. But now, since you know, make sure that you sit down, relax, and just sip water very calmly. This one hurts even though it looks normal because you are thirsty, so you just take that bottle of water or you take that glass of water and you just start gulping it down just because you feel that, okay, I need to quench my thirst. But when you start gulping water, what it does is that your brain cannot register the amount of water that is entering your system. It bypasses all those salivary enzymes that is very important to start your digestion system, because your brain doesn't understand that how much of water is entered your system because you're constantly just gulping your water. So sometimes you're overloading your system with too much of water. Even in Ayurveda, water is meant to be warm and slowly sipped, because when you slowly sip, it allows the body or it allows your entire system to register the amount of water that's entering in your system. And you have to look at this as watering a plant in the pot. Let's say there is a plant that's just growing in your pot and you're very excited. But when you have to water that plant, would you just shove a lot of force of water on that tiny little plant, or would you just spray a little water, or you very gently pour water around the plant? I'm hoping you're wise and you say it's the latter half. Well, precisely the same way you're supposed to drink water so that your body can absorb that water very easily and very gently. And at any point, it doesn't go in a state of shock. And when you sip water slowly, in general, it gives you better absorption. It doesn't allow a lot of the bloating to come in, and also your kidneys don't get overloaded. And you know, the funny thing is that when you play an intense sport, you realize that many a times you're just stepping out, you drink or you just gulp down water and you come back in. I used to do that quite a lot because I used to step out. I realized that while playing, because it's so intense, you're so thirsty, so you step out, you take the bottle of water, you just shove it down your throat, and then you're back in. But what you don't realize is that yes, your body is going through multiple things. Firstly, it's going through that intense game that you're putting it through. You've shoved it with water that now it's working two jobs and overtime. So even I've understood that no matter what the situation is, I need to slowly sip water rather than gulping water. So if you're someone who still has the habit of maybe gulping down water, then start sipping water. Trust me, you will see a lot of difference in the way your digestion works. And one of the trick I would say is try and consume warm water, because you know that you cannot gulp it down because it's still warm and not normal temperature. So you'll end up sipping rather than gulping. And the last and number five is not starting your day with water. Now you have to understand that you sleep for a good 6 to 8 hours or maybe 9 hours. Now during that time, your body loses a lot of water through breath, through urine that it might completely be forming, which is why when you wake up, the first thing you go is to the washroom, and you also lose water through sweat. But what most people do, most people wake up, they check their phone, they go to the kitchen, they grab their coffee or tea, and then they sit without rehydrating themselves. That's like you wanting to drive a car, but you don't want to put any engine oil. So whether you like it or not, what you should do, very much like a habit, is just get up, go to your kitchen and have a glass of water. Now, Ayurveda says that you need to have at least 2 to 3 glasses of water or warm water on an empty stomach. This activates peristalsis, which is the wave-like motion that you see maybe in your throat or you see it through your intestines. What this does is that it flushes out toxins, it clears constipation, and it kickstarts your metabolism. Pretty much, it's like your morning detox, because most of the time when you consume warm water, There is a lot of bacteria in your body and your system which needs to be flushed out of the digestive system. So when you consume warm water or you just consume water, it just sends all that bacteria through your system and out of your system. So whatever you do, just try to not avoid this. Now, from all these 5 points, which is one of them that you do really often? Let me know that in the comments. And I'm also going to give you one really cool bonus tip. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, here's what you're going to do. Take a copper vessel and store water in it and keep it overnight. Keeping water like this also infuses antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory benefits that boost your liver and also your skin health. Trust me, it's not just a random thing that I'm saying. It's backed by Ayurveda and also microbiology. Try this and trust me, you are going to thank me later. And you have to understand one thing is that you're not just drinking water, or either drinking life or you're leaking that life energy sip by sip or gulp by gulp. And if you've made any of these 5 mistakes or you're still making them, it's not too late because you don't need more water. You just need to respect and understand how the body wants to receive it. Now, since you know what to do, very consciously practice it. And until we meet again next, don't stress and be awesome. Rocher that.